there's a bunch of stuff we put in the team page. There's a bunch of stuff I put in the Google Drive. There's a bunch of stuff that I am still 99% working, like I'm almost done, but it's still not done. And I will be putting into the team page in Google Drive. So I wanted to like offer a little context and maybe a mini training on that, because all the resources in the world are great, but they're useless if we don't use them, right? And part of using them is knowing like maybe how to use them and when to use them. So that was kind of my goal for this. This isn't necessarily a training on what the routine is. I feel like we've done a bit of that. I'll point you to some more resources in terms of where to find more training on that. And if we need to, please give me feedback. If you feel like that you're still lacking in like a basic understanding of like education on those specific 3 supplements, then by all means, please speak up about that so we can build that into like the next couple weeks of, like we'll make sure you have those resources, or we'll do like another call like this, but specifically on that. Because I really want everyone to feel like they have the tools. So just as like a disclaimer or a reminder, everything really that we need, not everything, but like there's so much that Hue and Grace creates in the Knowledge Center. So just as a reminder for anything that I am looking for an answer for, almost every answer that when I really dug into it or keyword searched in the Knowledge Center, I've been able to find it. Like, what are natural flavors in the blah, blah, blah product? Or what are the bitter blockers? Or what are, what are certifications we have? Or, where's the testing, whatever. Like, you don't need to, I don't know all of those things offhand. And some people get more of those questions than not. Like some of the questions I know like Melissa gets from her people, I'm like, my people just don't ask me these questions. But that's also like our audience, right? Like, and maybe because also those are questions I never like knew to even ask. So there's no right or wrong question. And I like learning, and we'll all go hunt and search for things. But if, just as a reminder, in our kind of like a nice change of pace for some of us, like these answers are readily available, which is really cool. I think that that's great. One thing I will say to that though, not everything's in there. Not everything's in there. And when that happens, if you're like, hey, you can always use the submit a ticket button, like do find it in the team page, and I'll share another place that I found some really good answers. But one thing that Hue and Grace is really great at is making sure that needs are met. So if you're like, I really need to know about this, just use the submit a ticket button. So if you go to, actually, I think I have it. I'll just share my screen. So hold on, I've got too many tabs open. Let me just pull this one tab away so you don't judge me. And so if you don't know where the submit a ticket button is, it is right here at the top of your back office. You just click submit a ticket and you can ask any question you want. And they're pretty good. On the weekends, you won't get a response probably till Monday, but normally it's like a 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround. So you can just type in a question here, and you can actually go to your active support tickets under your profile. And I use this button a lot. So you can see what's been resolved. They'll send you emails, they'll send you updates, etc. So just know that that's there. And then the other place and then the Knowledge Center, if you go there, I wanted to show this too, because, and we're not going to really talk a lot about this today, but I just thought while we're here, if you go to like, the training blocks are great, but what I look for when I'm looking for information, I don't use the training blocks. I go to the resource library. So if you go to this button right here, and then what I didn't know existed until this month, which has just literally changed my life. You go to this little search thing up at the top. It's hidden. There's a search bar right here at the top. And this, maybe other people knew it was here, but if you go to so someone just recently asked me like what the bitter blockers are, or whatever, right? And I don't know. So you can go to, and I'll show you 3 documents, but actually there's 5. And it might be like bitter was in this or blocker was in this, right? So like I looked up like breastfeeding safe or something, or pregnancy anyway, and like one of the words was in something. And so like it might not be in all the things, but that is a really great functionality of that back office of so the resource center. And every new month has its own folder, and those folders fall off after 2 months. But I just thought I'd share that because I didn't know that search bar was there. When someone was like, search the knowledge center, I'm like, I don't know how to search the knowledge center. Well, there you go. So, and then I found a lot of really great answers in the Hugh and Grace officials, the official advocates Facebook page. So if you're not in that group, I don't have the link to it handy. If someone does, you can put it in the chat. But if you, it's just like the official advocates page of Hugh and Grace. I think we all got sent an email invite to it as a new advocate. But I'll keyword search in there a lot. And that is where a lot of, you know, all of the minds, because, you know, everyone's asked these questions at some point and people are sharing resources and stuff there. So that said, I didn't find there to be a lot of resources about the routine this, you know, a couple months when we started launching, when they just announced the routine, because the routine is a bundle of 3 products that were already existing. So they kind of like repositioned these 3 products, the Hydrate Detox, the AM supplement, and the collagen, and then package it together. Thank you, Katie. To be the routine. So, and then we're selling it and we're promoting it, we're bundling it. And then I was like, well, there's not a lot of like I found myself struggling with the words. Like, how would I share this with someone and how would I talk about this? So if I know if I'm struggling with it, then other people might be too. And so we just started really trying to create some resources. And when I asked in the team page too, where are the roadblocks for us, there was like assets and social selling, third-party tools, competency. And so I try to really fill in those gaps. So if there's anything that you want and need, please, again, speak up. But let me go through what's here. And because I want to make sure we have enough time. Kim Lehman's also going to come on halfway through. And I asked her to share like what those conversations are looking like in her inbox. It's not outward facing on social media, but like once someone's like, yeah, tell me more. What is that? I asked her to share like, what does that conversation sound like to with her? Because she's obviously having a lot of success with that. And I want everyone, there's several leaders that are having a lot of success with that. And I'm going to ask them all to share. But I thought that would be helpful. That kind of stuff is helpful for me to kind of know, you know, because not all of us have the knowledge that maybe like Kaylee has, right? And we don't need to know that. And I like learning from her and I like being able to, you know, bring my competency up, but that isn't a precursor to being able to connect people to these products. Does that make sense? And so that's my plan for today. Any questions or any thoughts before I go through all of this? Have you guys been, oh, Kim's on. Hi, Kim. Sorry, I only saw 5 of you. I didn't, Zoom recently changed their thing where it doesn't tell you how many people are on like it used to. So any questions or is there anything that you want to make sure we definitely cover today? Okay, so I'm going to share. So if you don't have the link yet, it is shared in the team page. That here's the team Google Drive. I would click the little add to drive button so it goes into your Google Drive. But this is what it kind of looks like. This is an ever evolving resource that we're constantly adding stuff to. So always, you know, I just would check in here. But I made a folder for just the routine. And in here, I don't need that in there twice. So in here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to go through each of these things. But I did add, Kaylee made a formal, like, what is the routine training? And I put that in here. So that she made it for the company, but they haven't done anything with it yet. And I was like, well, let's take a look at this. Like, let's just at least have it for the team. And I learned a lot from this as well. So, so that's in there. So this is the routine drive, but let's take a look at what is in here. So first there is, and I shared this in the team page. This is just a 1-pager on hydrate and detox on the routine. So it's the AM supplement, hydrate, detox, and the collagen peptides. So this graphic lives in the team page and in the Google Drive. And it's going to talk a little bit about, some of this is just straight from like the website and the product info pages, but some of it is also like beyond that. I wanted it to be beyond what was just on the product info guide. And with a little bit of like, you know, a little value tip here at the bottom. So what I would suggest doing with this is reading it and learning it, getting really familiar with the content. I use all of these things to train and educate yourself. But also I use this as like a third-party tool. Like when someone's asking me for more information, I would give them this to read and look at, while also asking questions. So in any like conversation, I would always start when someone asks for more information on something, I always start with questions, right? This is always, I want to make sure I'm pulling that information out of them and those pain points, like what caught your attention, or what are you struggling with, or what about my post or my story or my, you know, shared like really resonated with you or struck a chord, so that I know what to really build from when I'm showing them the value that this specifically has. Because like a lot of these products, and if you know, heard any of the routine trainings, like hormone health is a very all-encompassing issue, and it shows up very, very differently for all of us, right? And that's why like we're not all doctors. We're not doctors. None of us are doctors. But we don't have to be hormone experts. But the way that hydrate detox is going to help me, or the AM supplement is going to help me, like how I feel the physical benefits is going to vary between Rita, Katie, Melissa, Christina, and myself, right? Like we're all going to feel, because our hormone biology is just different. And I think that's really cool that it's going to just naturally work with our body and help it in the way that it needs help. But I want to know from each of those prospective customers and clients, like, what is that pain point? What is that struggle? So then I can be the one that goes, well, this aspect of collagen or this aspect of the EM supplement could potentially really help you because of X, Y, and Z. So that would be how I'd use that with some personal guidance. Any question about this graphic or this resource? I did share it on my page, but I wouldn't really probably share this on my page. I like did that just because I needed a graphic really fast to funnel people to Thursday night's thing, but this would be a lot to just kind of like post. But I did put this in my info group as well, where I'm teaching and I'm offering a lot of value. But this is like a lot of data and info, probably just to share publicly. This is also a document that I shared that we put together as a team. It's kind of like the elevator responses. So what is an elevator response? So that is like if you were in an elevator with someone and someone asks you a question like, oh, what do you do? Or what is the root, or what is that thing you're drinking? It would be like your really quick down and dirty like response that you would be able to say and share and pique interest in the time span of going on an elevator from floor to floor. So that's kind of where the term elevator response or elevator pitch came from. And so we all have obviously a little different way to answer this. And so I thought it'd be nice just to see how we all would answer this in different ways. The goal of this is for you to then take and make your own elevator response. Okay. So that, and then practice it. I used to practice to my dogs. Like I would like practice my Beachbody elevator pitch to, my dog, and or just to whoever, or ask, if you could practice. Because I think the more you get the words out, when I did my yoga teacher training, like we just she just made us do it, start teaching and leading from day one, because you just got to get the words out, because they're only going to come smooth once you've done it and you get that muscle memory. So that's what this is. And I would love for you, if you feel like you have a good elevator pitch, to like add it to this document. I think the more we can see other ways of sharing. Has anyone looked at this and found it helpful or helped you find kind of your words? Christina, you have? Good. If you want to share yours, put it in the chat or let's add it to that doc. Am I going too fast? Are you guys good? Okay. So this is one that I haven't fully finished this one yet. This is actually what I started on first, but I did share these stories. These are already done. These 4 just like stories on what these are. Obviously you can use them. You don't have to use them, but I made them for us all to use. But then I'm also, hope by the end of the weekend, we'll have these. I have most of these already done. I just have 2 more to finish. But these are like each of the leaders took their answered some questions for me about the routine and made some, and I'm making stories. So these will all be in the Google Drive, so you can download these. I had to slow Kaylee's down because it was too short, but here I'll show. Here's Rita's. So what changes have you noticed the most so far since implementing the routine? Tell us about the collagen specifically. What's your favorite part of the routine? Have you been surprised by any of this? So try to ask some varying questions so you can use these and have kind of like some testimonies. If you have any interest in adding to this, let me know and I'll send you the questions and I'll get some video from you. But this will be something that's done by the end of the weekend. But the first 4 are done. So hopefully you guys have all seen those. And has anyone used these yet? Oh, you have, Katie. Thanks. And then this is a graph. This is like the first thing I made as a new advocate. This is a resource that's shared in the team page. It's shared in the Google Drive. But it is a product info guide, for each product. So it's the 2-pager. And the template is shared so you can put your info here. I use these specifically in my info group, but then anytime someone is asked for specific info about any product, I will give them like the 1-pager that's more in depth on each product. So it has all of the things in here. So you can use these to support the routine as well, but there is also the body palette and every single product I made one for. There's even one that's for the routine. So just so you know that that's in here too. I wanted to share that. I'm gonna close these as I go through them. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about this website template. Melissa, will you share your link to yours in the chat? So the goal of this is, so Canva is really cool. And this was something they started, I don't know, when did they make this, Rita, this feature? Like a year or 2 ago? But we started doing this on our team where we would make like a template, like a landing page, which is basically like a website, page, a 1-pager on a landing site. But a lot of us don't have our own websites. So that felt like a really daunting project. So Canva has this really cool thing where if you can turn anything into a website, views like a website. So now this has a URL you can share, which it's not really, you can publish the website. Okay. And then you can decide, you can just publish it to a Canva domain. Or what I often have done is I'll make like you go to Google domains for $12. You can, if this is something you're going to use for a long time, like MichelleLillisRoutine.com or something like that. You can go to Google domains, $12, buy a domain, and then you set up auto forwarding to this Canva website once you've made it your own. Does that make sense? And so then you don't have to have like a hosted Weebly or, what is my, WordPress web. You don't have to have an actual website. You could use something like this. Canva offers this. And so what I have here for you is the template to this. What Melissa already made hers. So if you click on this link, the other file is set and in the folder as a PDF. For this, Christina?
No, for the other one, sorry. The one that's olive green under product info cards, I only see it as a PDF.
If you go on the team page in the there's the template is in if you go under the guides.
So okay, the page, not the drive.
Yeah, I'll make sure there's also a link to the template in the drive as well before the end of the weekend, but I know for sure the template is in the team page.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So for this, you would just edit this. So you'd add your own sales link. So you'd switch if you don't know how to, if you need specific help, we won't go too deep into this today, but if you add your link here, you would just ungroup this and then you would hyperlink this button link here. Okay. And then you would put your specific shop link to the routine. And then that's how you would do that. Right. And so you'd edit this. like if identify the, so if you're like, I want it to say exactly that, just delete the yellow, right? If you're like, I really don't like this salmon color, then change it to something else. Okay. Um, the point of this is that you can brand it and change it. Obviously, you'd want your picture here, not mine. If this was the website you're sharing, this is my story, not yours. So if you're like, I don't have time to make my story, you can just delete this whole section. But I would say, do take the minute to like add yourself here. Um, this is
Jamie, where did you, because I wouldn't want to make changes to your main page. How did you edit it? What, I
you
think
won't
I
be able
looked
to.
at it.
So the only link I have shared is a template link. So as soon as you
Oh,
click on it,
okay.
it opens it as your own thing in your Canvas. So if you have the editable
Okay.
link to this, it is because
Mhm.
it's now your link. So don't worry about that. But
Okay,
thank you.
good.
Yeah, I try to be really careful about because I want you to be able to have the link that helps you. So anyway, and if you're like, this is too much, or I don't like this, or I do want this, like you can do whatever you want with that. But my way I would use this is you could, and if you have a landing page, like if you're like michellelillisroutine.com or whatever, or you want to take just this URL and make it a bit.ly link or whatever, you can post that wherever you want, right? That could even be your bio link on Instagram. That is less than of like a shop link that you wouldn't use. You wouldn't put your Hue and Grace link there, but this would be a way where you're like, offer value with that, something like that. So, hopefully this feels, my goal was not to make this feel overwhelming, but like to feel like really give you a really quick, easy way to, then you don't have to really explain much of anything. If, so I have people that have been asking me about the collagen, and I'll talk to them about the collagen. I'll ask them about their hair goals or where they're struggling with their hair or whatever. And I get them started in a conversation. Then I'll also send them my website link for this. And I said, the collagen's there, but really my whole routine has helped with what you're talking about. And then they can see all three things. So that is that. And you're so welcome. And my assistant Allie helped me a lot with this landing page because I made the website, and I'm like, can you make this into a template? And she did. So you guys can thank Allie. Most of you know Allie. So any questions about this? Okay. This isn't something I'll share if people want it, but I'm still working on this. This is my own little baby brainchild. I'm trying to think of, I don't want to run a challenge group around the routine. If I ever run a challenge group again, please like put me down because I've lost my mind. But like, I do want to build community and add value and like keep people engaged. And so there's a couple things that I'm working on, and I'm still trying to get ideas. I'd love to do idea sharing. Like, what are you guys doing to build community and accountability around this without feeling like we're dragging or babysitting people through this, because that's really one thing I'm intentionally trying to move away from. But I thought it'd be fun to add, because really the routine is I want lifestyle changes. I want people to help make lifestyle choices. I don't want to make them a checklist. I don't want to be like, you have to do these things every day to be successful. And I'm switching a lot of these out, but I wanted to offer them other things that will support these overall hormone health goals, nervous system health goals, gut health goals. And so I kind of made like a little routine bingo, and I'm playing with the words of what BINGO stands for. So that's just something I'm playing with. And then I have like a little intake form. And I did share, I think I just shared this with the leaders. Kaylee and I put this together. We put our kind of a symptom tracker and a baseline thing. And so I'll make sure everyone has the collaborative link for this. But basically, this is when someone signs up. I send them their customer welcome email. And then maybe 5-6 days later, I'll send them their like, okay, you should be getting your box. Let's get you started. And then this is a way for them to track their own results. So it's a very extensive, and they don't have to do this, but if they're wanting to see like all the ways the routine might be helping them specifically, they can track these things. So basically there would be a little inventory where they're rating, do you feel like this is never or always these issues? And then they'll add up the points. And then in a month, we'll re-rate it. And then they add up the points again. And they can see, have those points gone down? Has that overall total of that impact gone down? So this is just more of like a retention customer service thing. I did this with Beachbody a lot, but it looked a little different. So I had to kind of tweak it of like, how would this look with Hue and Grace? But it's more like a baseline there. So that that will be available to everyone to offer if you want as well. And then everything else in here is
Hey, Jamie.
Yeah.
I apologize if
No,
I
you're
can
fine.
interrupt. Question about collagen. So we talk a lot about type 1, 2, and 3. And I know there's like 5 and 10 and like all these other collagen types, right? And so I think the thing that I personally struggle with a little bit is people thinking that that collagen is like a luxury supplement, right? And so how do we like I know that 1, 2, 3 is important, and the people who get it, they know it too. So I don't have to explain it. But gosh forbid I have to explain it. I'm going to be in a pickle. Do we have anything that says 1, 2, and 3 and why it's important?
Yeah. So it talks a bit on the website. That website, I specifically talk about that on the website. You can pull that out. The info for the collagen card, and I think I want to update it and talk a little bit more about tissue on there. But the routine one pager also speaks to that there too. So but that's something that, and I don't know about all the other collagen types. Like I had to learn a little bit more about type 2 even to understand what the importance of that was. But I think how Kaylee positions it and explains it really helped me. She's like, it's been mistakenly or largely promoted as a beauty supplement when really it's a wellness supplement, and like being able just to share it from that lens is really helpful. I mean, it has helped my hair, and I do talk about that really loudly because it has. And so, but like, and that's more of a beauty than a wellness, but also like hair health. I'm sorry, but I think that's also a wellness supplement. So that's wellness. So, and Melissa says that on the knowledge center there too. So, and the rest of the stuff in here is our graphics, and I share like all of the testimonies that were on those videos that I haven't finished yet. I went ahead and put them all just on pictures as well. So these are the same exact words that will be on the stories, the videos. But if you want testimonies there, and then testimonies story size will be here when they're done. And then these are the individual people. So if you're like, I really liked Kim's testimony or Kim's answers, and you want those 3 right there. Okay. So that's kind of how I organize that. I know that was a lot. I feel like hopefully it's more than enough that we all need to like get the ball rolling and feel like you have the tools to share. Anything that you're like, I still would really like a resource around that, or I need more info about that. So I'm making a note on Christina's comment, because we'll make sure that that's more clear. Michelle?
So how are you approaching people that aren't engaging with you? Like, how are you hitting your cold market to open up the line of conversation? I guess that's where I'm struggling a little bit on.
Yeah, I haven't I haven't yet at all. So I'm not the right person to answer that. I haven't cold messaged in 8 years, and I am finding myself like really like a little frozen there. So I would just start anyone though. If I am trying to like warm someone up, it always has been the same. It always will be the same, because I would never just like cold message someone out of the blue. Like, hey, I have this thing. It would always warming them up first. And so for me, that looks like what has always taught me, like forming a relationship stands for what does forming stand for? Talking about families and friendships, like occupation, recreation is the R. And then I switched it over the years to Ford, so that the D, which form makes more sense. But Ford, the D is like dreams and hopes and like hobbies, things that they enjoy. And so that was kind of how it was taught to me to like form connections online with strangers. But for me, I also will make the connection of, and it's a down and dirty, it's the acronym I've always taught and was taught with CCQ. So I'm going to pay a compliment. I'm going to be curious about something, or I'm going to ask a question about something. And that will be my icebreaker. And it might be like, you love Disneyland too? Awesome. Where do you, have you ever tried the blah, blah, blah in the, I don't know anything about Disneyland, but you know what I mean? Like, or those shoes are so cute. Where did you get them? Or, oh, I had that same problem with my son. This is what helped me, right? Like compliment, question, be curious about something, or make a connection about something. Because really that's what it comes down to, is making a connection. And then you just start chatting. And then in my mind, I'm going through as you're, you know, building what would you do if you're like on a first date, friend date, boy date, girl date, whatever, and you're like trying to get to know someone. Same thing on your inbox. You're just engaging. I might go to their page and look for some of those connection points, some context. And eventually, as you're asking questions, they ask questions back, right? Oh, what do you do for work? If I'm asking, if I'm in the O of forming, like, what is the occupation? Like, what do you do for work? How do you love your job? They'll ask back, and usually, most people, right? If it's a two-way conversation, I don't force conversation on someone. If they're not engaging back, then I'm not going to waste my time. But usually, a normal person will be like, "Oh, what do you do?" Or they'll be like, "Oh, I see you're into like health stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love my job. I retired 10 years ago from being a school counselor, and now I'm an online health and wellness coach, and I help other, whatever." And then they're like, "That sounds amazing." And I'm like, "It is. It's the dream job." And then I'll move on. I'll plant the seed and I'll move on and keep pulling info out of them. But I'll plant enough seeds and reflective listen and then I can circle back. But really, I'm looking for them to tell me about themselves and share me those pain points. People love to complain about things and to tell you what's ailing them most. Like a lot of times, sadly, we lead with our, struggles in life. And so you can always come back with like a solution to that, or especially if you've been posting a lot, they will probably naturally go stalk you too and be like, okay, so, or the way the algorithm works on Instagram and Facebook, especially Facebook, if you guys are chatting, then Facebook goes, oh, these two are friends, then they're going to want to see each other's stuff. You ever notice if you like message someone, all of a sudden all their stuff is in your feed all the time? So then your social media works for you, right? So a lot of times I don't have to bring something up because they'll be like, oh my gosh, I saw your thing. Can you tell me more about that? And that was kind of more like what I also was hoping, asking Kim to talk about too, because I think that was a really good question. And I don't know if that was helpful at all, but I know Kim had some really great value there too, specifically. So Kim, how would you answer that question?
So in terms of a cold market, the best way to start getting people in a cold market is to start using the feature reels. Because that is actually how I meet a lot of the people who don't normally follow me. And I'm not trying to get into being an influencer or anything else like that, but there just are some basic things where you can use audios. Like if you see audios, like if you watch reels, because I do, like, an audio that you'll hear a lot, right? And I will take that same audio and use something to do with our products and use something to get somebody to like look at it, like, or read what I'm going to write. Like, and mine are like pretty simple. Like I have one where like the newest one, if you follow me, it's just like me grabbing like each one of the things in the routine, and it just talks about, setting your body back to factory settings. And I think that is that's the phrase that I use a lot. And so that phrase in of itself, and then me holding the products, is enough for people to post on there and ask, like, what is this? Like, tell me what it is. But what's interesting is that Danielle, our upline, I followed her and she followed me back, and she started commenting on the fact that I'm like a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan. And so we got into this natural conversation. It was a completely cold conversation, but it was natural. And it turns out that in that same conversation, we grew up in the same freaking town. And so when you make natural conversation with people based on things that had nothing to do with like what you do, it just flows. Like, I feel like that's how I meet everybody that follows me on social media. Like, and I always tell my advocates this: your DM should be filled. And your DMs shouldn't be filled about like people asking you about the routine or whatever. They should be filled with like, oh my God, my kid does the same thing, or oh, what's that lipstick, or oh my God, like just natural conversation. Because the more natural conversations you can have with people, the more the relationship is just easier. And you get to the point like where you're like, hey, I want you to do this with me on my team, like, so.
I love that. Well,
Thank
and
you. I love that.
I think that I'm just retyping because someone asked what the CCQ was again, because that Kim just said it exactly. Like those are things like my kid did that too. That's a connection point, right? Like I love that lipstick. That's a compliment. Like compliment, curiosity, and it has to be authentic things, right? Like if you can't find something authentic, then is that really your person, right? Like if you're like, oh my God, there's nothing I can say to this person. And there's people that I'm like, I really want to like this person, and I really think this would be a cool person, but I'm like, I don't know, I don't see a connection point there. And you can always try and like just ask a genuine question, like, oh, where do you live? And see if something flows. But if it's really a stretch and it's like hard, and I can talk a wall to death, you guys know that. Like, so if it's hard for me, then I'm like, nah, this is not my person. Because there's millions of people that are your people. So, okay, Kim, so you got someone in your DMs, like, and then the routine comes up. What does that conversation sound like, look like, etc.?
So I actually talked about this to Jamie, and I want to share my own vulnerability with this because I am like a successful person selling the routine. But yet on Thursday, I had such a big case of imposter syndrome. And I started questioning myself, like, am I educated enough to sell this or whatever? And like, I love Kaylee and I love Amy and I love all the girls, but like, I'm not a hormone expert. And I don't want to be a hormone expert. Like when I talked to Sarah, that was like the biggest thing I wanted to do was like, do I have to go get a certification? Do I have to do that? Because like that's not my jam. And so one of the things that I've realized with myself is that when you give me too much information, I actually don't do anything. It puts me in like freeze. And so I know that people following me and asking me questions are those type of people. And I actually did like a beta test. So like so when people ask me information, first of all, I always give them a voice message because I think hearing your voice is different than typing out and cutting and pasting. And so I say to them, I was like, I know you wanted to know about the routine. I was like, it's a trio of supplements full of minerals and vitamins that our bodies need. And so whether it's because we're aging, whether it's because we're under high stress, whether it's because we have some real hormone issues going on, it gives the body what it needs to function efficiently. And that is basically kind of what I talk about. And I talk about, the collagen is awesome for hair and nails. And here's the thing, I don't know what kind of people you bring in. I don't bring in people who are sciencey. I don't bring in people who are asking me about 3 types of collagen. I bring in people who are like, your hair looks awesome and I want to know what you're using. And that's okay. That is absolutely okay. And so I tell them that the hydrate has magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And those 3 things do more for us than a constant cycle of caffeine that we're always putting in our body. And then I talk about the AM supplements that the coenzyme 10 actually helps our body and blood flow so that we naturally feel energized. And so when people see me do this every day, so every day on my stories, that's where I am. It doesn't matter what I look like. I got my shake for protein. They see me physically put my collagen in there, and they see me take my 2 capsules. And so when I give them this information of like, what is it? They've seen me consistently show up and do this. So, and then when I'm consistently doing it, I'm sharing something about it like that I love, or, how easy it is and how simple it is. And the last thing that I tell them is, look, the more simple things that you can be consistent with, that's what grows your confidence. That's what actually helps you. Hey, I want to go work out. Hey, I want to go leave my job. Hey, I want to start something awesome. So that's how I sell the routine. And then I also tell them that they're getting a free night supplement. And so I was like, the night serum. And I was like, so how awesome is it? Like, you're getting your morning ready, and now you get to like calm down at night with the night serum and get your body ready. And so that's kind of what I do. And then I send them my link. I don't send the share a cart stuff because I have personally found that our website is amazing. And so people like will buy the routine and then they'll grab like the home care stuff, or they'll ask me in the middle of shopping and they'll be like, hey, do you like the face serum or whatever? And so it just becomes this magical kind of thing. And then first, I always let people know that they can buy this stuff separately too, because that was something Jamie and I talked about, that people feel like if they don't sell the routine, they failed. And it's like, no, if you get a woman a win by using the collagen or just adding the hydrate, those women trust you more. And I promise you, they'll probably come back and buy something else or buy the routine. So that's kind of like what goes on my end of conversations. Oh, and then I was telling you about the beta testing. So I did the same voicemail that I do to everybody, and then I sent them that PDF, which I'm not saying the PDF is beautiful, right? But you know what happened when I sent the people the PDF? They said, oh, I have to get back to you. I have to read all of it. And all of a sudden it became this exciting thing of like, yeah, I want more energy. Yeah, I want more hair. And it became, oh my God, there's all this information so I have to be careful, or I gotta educate myself more, whatever. And so I have always felt like in sales, the more information you give people who have not asked for it, the more you set them in frozen mode where they don't buy.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point too, because I don't use third-party tools until like someone is like slowing down in the conversation. If someone's hot and they're ready to go, like keep them hot, ready to go. Like if I'm at the end of the month and someone's ready to go now, and I'm like, but I could save you for 2 days from now. No, get them going now. Like there's no scarcity there. But I use a lot of those kind of things to educate myself, but also to have like, there's those people that are like, they really do want the answers. They do have all the questions. They do need the follow-up, right? They need the nudge off the edge of the fence. And that's when I would use those things in Beachbody or here or wherever, because I would rather because then there's something official versus me, especially in the beginning, if I'm trying to bumble through my words, but yeah, don't I love what you just said. It was perfect. Like if you're giving them information they didn't ask for, then they're gonna it's too much. So keep your sail is a ball that is moving, and you need it to keep moving, right? The second it slows down, you find things to get it. Sorry, someone's here, but you want to keep the ball moving. But if it's moving on its own, don't mess it. Just let's just keep riding with it. And I try to get better about sharing every day in my stories, like the routine, just doing it. And I thank you for that reminder. Keep going.
So another thing that I do to follow up with people, because people need to be followed up. Like a lot of things that my advocates say is like, I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to bother people. Like my friends know that sometimes they ask me for my credit card because they're like, Kim, you have to put the order in. And I want it, but I just am ADHD. And so I'll go to the website to go do it. And then so if you're that way, your people are going to be that way. And if you really care about them, then you follow up with them. And so the way that I follow up with people now is I'll be like, hey, I said, I'm just circling around. I know the holidays have been crazy. And I know you were asking about the routine. And I want to let you know that, the night serum that comes with it, that ends on Sunday. And I think it's so amazing because it's like $70 that you're getting for free. And I also want to give you the testimony of one of the ladies who has been using the the routine. And it's a testimony of a woman who's going through perimenopause, marathon runner, like doing all the things, and how she's sleeping better and she doesn't have night sweats anymore. And she just feels like she's doing better in in life and stuff. And so I always find that following up and then sending people like kind of like, these are the people like that signed with me and like, this is how much their life has changed since they did that. And so that kind of third party stuff is actually good to make people who haven't bought kind of like push the thing to go.
I'm definitely that person that needs the reminder. I will like leave cards. Actually, I leave cards on purpose. Because sometimes they'll send you a little extra promo codes. And now I'm like, by being on my cart, for 24 hours, they'll give me more of a discount. Or do I really want this tomorrow? Right. I'm very much a Instagram made me do it kind of officer. And so I'm like, okay, if I still want this tomorrow, then I'll buy it. But then I forget. And that's kind of like, then I forget. And so having someone remind me I need that.
Yeah.
Christina asks, how are you tracking all these DM combos to conclusion without forgetting someone?
That is my Achilles heel.
Me too. And like, I think that ultimately, if you have enough, this is how I've always felt about it is I track it. I mean, I do paper pencil if I'm really trying to track, but I track by going through my DMs. Like you can scroll down to the last, like just scroll. If you've got enough going on that like, I just if I know my conversations, Kim, they're happening on Instagram. For me, they're happening on Facebook. I just scroll to where the last, to the IR and mark it on red if I know I need to come back to it, or it's someone that I like, even if I was the last one to respond, I'll still mark it on red as like my little signal to myself to go and check in. But if you've got enough conversations going, then the people that are ready will float to the top. So you wouldn't have to be circling over the same 5 people going, have you responded yet? Have you responded yet? Have you responded yet? Right? Like let them naturally be ready too when they're ready.
I track advocates. So because I feel like that relationship has to be a little stronger, people who want to sign up to be an advocate. So I do write them down and I have kind of like that wish list of the people that I want to sign, because those people, that I always feel like bringing somebody on as an advocate is more like dating. And your more quality people need to be romanced in a way, you know what I mean? Like it sounds weird, but like your quality people your quality people, I don't know, are necessarily going to be the people who are like, yes, sign me up. I mean, like I took a while to be wined and dined and and talked about and stuff like that. And so we tend to believe that, we're being a pain in the butt, but in reality, that's really where the relationship building kind of starts with that. And trust is really needed and stuff with that. And then Instagram has a way that you can put messages like in 2 different columns, I think. And so people who like are just asking me random questions go here. But then if there's somebody that's like an advocate or they want to buy something, I put them into a different column.
Same. And if I ever get someone's email, like if someone's like, oh, I want to learn more or whatever, once I get to the point where and I do try to collect emails because I think that's a really smart way. Like if your Instagram or Facebook goes away tomorrow, like is your list gone? Hopefully not. If you have emails, it wouldn't be. So I do try to collect emails. If I have an email, it goes straight into my streak. And so streak is like, and like that's where my assistant helps me make sure it stays organized, but I add it straight to streak. And that is a Gmail function. It's an add-on to Gmail, and it is a CRM, a customer resource management tool. And so I have a prospect streak funnel and they're called pipelines, but I type in their name, their email, and I'll put like in the note, like what were they interested in? And then if I ever wanted to sort that, if you're someone who's really techie, it's not a hard techie thing, but like that would be a way to just like keep when my ADHD is on point and I can do it, then that is how I get organized. Otherwise, I track my advocates on my whiteboard and my like I have a visual because I need visual, or I just have this like everything goes into, and it's a spiral notebook so that I don't lose papers, or when it gets too messy, I just rip it out and I throw it away so it stays organized that way. You have to just find the tracking that really works for your brain, that you can do it. Like stop, don't, when I think one thing I see people do is like be like, oh, I need the streak, or oh, I need the whiteboard, or oh, I need just pick one thing and just find a way to make it work for your learning style.
Another thing that one of my advocates does is so she kind of launched her brand with talking about dry brushing. And so she bought something from Etsy. I think it was like $2 or whatever. And she has this thing about dry brushing. And so she gets a lot of people's emails that way because they want the free PDF on dry brushing. And so she has like maybe like 45 people. And so now she has an email list, and now she has people who are already engaging in some sort of, self-care. So, those are also ideas to kind of build from like a cold market is, start offering like kind of things that we do, that match with what we do.
I love that idea. All right, I'm looking at time. This has been, a little longer than that, but really, really good. So hopefully you got a lot of questions answered. But do you have other questions? Do you have questions for Kim? Do you have questions for just the general greater good that we can answer now or find an answer to?
Okay, so clearly I'm a talker. After the routine, obviously, and I know that you're depending a lot of work there, I think the next thing that I want to transition to me is just a conversation about sleep. Sleep is so important. So I love the morning routine, but I also love a nighttime routine. And then night serum and then night supplement, like packaging that in like an evening routine for people who want to sleep. Like that's kind of where my brain is going, because a lot of the people I talk to are ADHD like me. Clearly I'm in the right group. So I had to, like, I've never been able to sleep more than 2 hours a night, and I am now, but I'm using the night supplement. I'm doing, the serum. Like I have this nighttime routine. And so what I've done is I'm building a habit tracker with the morning routine and the nighttime routine. I just need to learn a little bit more about that night supplement. So maybe that could be an idea for a conversation later is, what does your nighttime routine look like?
Yeah, I love that. And I just shared, Melissa actually made a template. I shared the template link to her nighttime routine document she made. And I love that idea. I also want to say, and this is what Kim and I were talking about yesterday, like if the routine is like not your jam and where you're excited to talk and share about, it doesn't matter that there's a masterclass or that there's a promo. Like share what's exciting to you. That's like the beauty of this really awesome catalog. And like we're gonna, we're doing our due diligence and getting everyone set up so they can share the routine if they want to. But if you're like, my story, my excitement is really about this nighttime stuff, then you have a green light and permission to just run with that. Like the routine's not going anywhere, So I just want to make sure everyone, and if it's cleaning products, then great. If it's the dry brushing and gua sha, great. Like do where your gateway drug, right, to this whole thing. And like that will naturally evolve and you can add to it. And like Kim said, one person, they might buy the dry brush from you, or they might buy the PM supplement, and then they see other things, or they build the trust and they see the natural things, emails from the company, and they'll buy more. It'll evolve, especially as they build trust in the brand itself,
So one of the things that I do for nighttime is I go on my stories and I do my gua sha and use the night serum. And I talk about calming down for night. And I talk about like how sometimes you're amped up and you want to go to sleep, but you like can't go to sleep. And then I start talking about like the PM supplement. For me, like I could never stay asleep. So like just sharing with somebody like, oh, I stay asleep all night, like is enough. And I had people like buy just the night serum, so I really think that we have an amazing company with so many products. Like, don't get so far into the rabbit hole of having to sell the routine that you miss all these like wins that we can give women and men, and wins in yourself too, wins for your business.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think what you
Thank
just
you.
shared is exactly perfect. Like I spent historically past tense, I've spent so much time trying to create resources for myself because I haven't had a community like this one, that I spent so much time there that I would not spend quality time on what I really needed to be doing, right? Which is be in my messages and be having conversations. So like that, boom, done, moving on. That's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that was the goal of us sharing all of these resources. And I wanted to make sure you had them so you wouldn't spend a lot of time like fishing around or not showing what was there. But like your business needle will move in your inbox and in your inbox alone, right? Also social media. But I also like I don't have the following, like I don't have the traction that on my social that like Kim does, and that's okay too. There's other ways, but my needle moves regularly. Like I still enjoy making reels, but I don't get the return on my investment and time there. That doesn't mean I won't or I don't ever, or sometimes I do, but like I also don't get a lot of joy there. And so like, and Kim does and all the things. And so there's no right or wrong to any of it, um this works when you're working in a place of alignment and excitement and joy and productivity, and like that is the space to be in. So and there's there's a space here and the support here, and collectively we have the brain power. You don't have to know all the things. Like if I need to know something, I know who to ask, like I know where to look, and you have the same equal access to that. So all right, this was a long hour. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you, Kim. That was so helpful. And I love getting to lead with you. And put any other thoughts or questions in I live stream this into the team page. So that's where the recording will be. And so any other thoughts or questions, just tag us in the comments and make sure your team sees this if this was helpful. So, okay. Bye, guys.
New Year.
Happy New Year.